It's a hack on how to get to first class for free.
Yes, tell me.
For free.
Yeah.
Isn't that nice?
Oh.
This girl on TikTok, a young lady on TikTok who's a flight attendant said, okay, I've got 3 tips for you. They mostly work, but not all the time.
Sure, you can't guarantee something like that.
First tip was pretty easy. Just be nice.
Okay, check.
There you go.
We got that one.
Just be nice. And if there's time where there's an opening, you just might be moved up because you've been nice. They're going to remember you being nice. Another one is if the flight is pretty empty and most people are in the back of the plane, they say it's heavy in the back of the plane, so they'll move people up. And if you're nice and then they have to move you up, you just might get into first class.
Oh, that's a nice one. Okay, check.
And there's one last hack.
What?
And this sounds like it might happen, it might not happen, but they've been overfilling flights lately.
Oh, sure.
You know,
Yeah.
because supply and demand, there's not as many flights, there's not as many people.
Seats, yeah.
Yeah, there's not as many people who are working at the same time, so there's not that many flight attendants. So they say since they're overpacked, then they're going to give you a $500 voucher not to be on the plane.
Yes.
But they say, listen, you might get more. So hold out for more and hold out for cash. You could get anywhere between $3,000, $4,000, and $5,000 if you ask. And then you spend that on first class.
I would not spend it on first class. I wouldn't. I'd spend it on, I don't even know what, but.
Bills for me.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say savings.
Rob and Liz.
His morning crew.
Laura decided to go the exact opposite way. She's a realtor, and this family had come to her and said, look, we're trying to move this piece of property. It's a house. You know, there is some land that goes along with it, but I'm going to tell you, it's pretty rough. And so she went as a realtor to check it out so she could write the description like on Zillow, Realtor.com, or whatever. And she thought, the only way I can sell this is to be brutally honest.
I love her.
I did too.
I love this woman.
I did too.
Thank you for being honest. So how honest was she?
She said if you like the outdoors, you'll love the missing windows, allowing a cool breeze to flow through the home, saving on energy bills.
Awesome.
And she also said she wanted to draw attention to the creepy feel of the creaky floorboards, the broken siding, the weeds that were growing inside the house.
Get out.
She said, okay, here's my favorite line, I think, of the entire one. She said, save time scraping off the lead-based paint because half of it's missing.
No.
And she goes on and on throughout the description of the home. So you can buy this house on the piece of property, which I don't know how big the acreage is, for $22,500 right now. It just dropped. Like when I first started looking, it was $25,000. Nobody is taking. I think you bulldoze the thing.
Of course. You buy the property, start over.
I think so too, from the ground up, because I mean, just going through all the pictures on Zillow, it's rough.
Yeah.
But I mean, she tells you straight up about the appliances. There's pots and pans still left on the counter. In the kitchen, there's trash. There's a cereal box.
Somebody will buy it, flip it, and make a mint out of it.
And they ought to make it into a TV show. They really should.
Yeah.
I would watch to see how if they use the bones of the house, how they do it, or if they demolish it.
Time to call HGTV.
Rob and Liz.
His morning crew.
She's 11 years old. She hears the dog barking from inside the house, calls 911. 911 comes. They get the dog. They put out the fire. Mackenzie saves the dog's life because of that. Being observant.
Right. They said if she hadn't alerted them and given them information about, what time and where she heard the dog barking, it could have ended a little bit differently. She ended up not only saving the dog, but really the house as well.
She gave some pretty good details.
She did.
You're right. On the 911 calls,
Yeah.
like the dog is back here in this one area, and they were able to go in and find everything. It's great.
Yeah, and it looks like they had to, because the dog was scared. The dog was just freaking out about the smoke and the fire and probably even the fire engines and the sirens. But he got behind the couch, and so they had to pull the couch out. I bet one of them got maybe nipped a little bit.
Yeah.
Because all they know is survival. And so, the dog and the family, today I think there's obviously some damage to the house, but Mackenzie saved the day.
She did, didn't she?
She did.
That was so great. And she got a little small coin and an award.
Exactly.
From the firemen
They
that were
honored her.
there that said, hey, thank you for what you did.
Rob and Liz.
His morning crew.
I'm so curious what this does for you. If you hear like rustling leaves or rain on a window pane. Let's say that you hear a waterfall or a cat purring. What kind of memory does it spark for you? Well, good morning. It's Rob and Liz, his morning crew on his radio.
Well, I think of trains, and I have a couple of memories there. We used to live in a neighborhood that, in the back of the neighborhood, a train came by, I don't even know, 4 or 5 times a day. And at first, when you first move in, it's annoying. And then it just becomes the sound of the neighborhood. And so when I hear a train every single time, I am transported back to that neighborhood.
Oh, I'm remembering the neighborhood I grew up in as a little kid.
Yeah?
We had, what was his name? Little John. So there was Little John, nothing to do with Robin Hood.
I was going to say, was this in Sherwood Forest?
No, it was not. Kind of sounds like
Okay.
it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So there's Little John, there's Landon and Lee, and behind Landon and Lee's house was a train. There was a mobile home park that was there. So as the train went by, we would pick up rocks and try to hit the train, and sometimes it would go through and break windows. It was awesome.
Oh, no.
We get in so much trouble.
I bet you would.
It was great, yeah.
Yeah.
Good childhood. Bad thing to do to break windows.
Right,
but
exactly.
good childhood.
But it takes you right back. It might be, a tea kettle that your grandmother put on the stove, and every time you hear that sound, you're just immediately taken to that moment in time.
So curious to know for you, what is the sound that brings you back, and what is the memory that's tied to it? You can call or text 800-447-7234.
Rob and Liz.
His morning crew.
Yeah, Amy texted and said, my favorite sound is the phoebe, and I think I'm saying that correctly. She said it's a bird that is native really to the Carolinas. She grew up in Florida, but they vacationed in North Carolina in the mountains, and that's the only time she would ever hear this bird. But now she lives in the Carolinas, and when she hears it, it just feels like she's on vacation.
That's nice.
With her family. I love that
That's
memory.
nice.
Yeah.
Either that or you live in New York City and you're at a coffee shop with friends.
I love that
Right?
tie-in.
Yeah. Marcy's here at 800-447-7234. What's the sound for you, Marcy?
So the sound would be elephants or lions. When I was growing up, we lived in Florida near the circus headquarters.
No way.
So when you were outside and the wind was blowing right, you could hear the elephants and you could hear the lions.
What were your visits like when you would go over to see them?
My dad at the time, we used to bale hay. We lived on a farm, and the hay was sold to the circus. So we would go visit, with the animals occasionally. He was over there all the time, but we went occasionally when they took hay over.
That is the neatest thing.
Good memories.
Rob and Liz.
His morning crew.
Talking about those sounds that kind of bring you back, that memory that is just so special. We're hearing from Lizzie. What is it for you, Lizzie?
It is the sound of basically any small engine. My dad, he grew up in Wisconsin, and so he'd repair like snow blowers in the winter, or he'd repair lawnmowers in the summer. And so anytime the lawnmower fires up and you get that kind of two-stroke engine smell with the oil and the gas and kind of all that put together, it very much takes me back to watching my dad in the garage late at night, because it was always at night. It was a side job for him. So it was like late at night watching my dad just repair engines. And, he passed away 16 years ago now. So it's such a great memory to have. And I love it. Every time I hear it, it's just the good memories come back. And I love that feeling.
Sounds like you would be sitting right out there all night long just watching him repair the lawnmowers.
Oh, yeah. And he was just like kind of a magician with engines, and he would repair almost anything he could back to life. So
I love that. I think you'd like my neighborhood too, Lizzie, because there's lawnmowers everywhere. I smell double engine,
Oh, exactly.
double stroke engines. I like it. You got the lingo down and everything.
Yeah, and Lizzie, your dad taught you a lot about engines. I have no idea what that is. Okay, Laura said, when I was a little girl, we lived on a naval base. So every time I hear helicopters or planes that go by super fast, just taken right back to growing up on that naval base.
We had a lot of, I don't know if you heard earlier, but we heard from Marcy.
Yeah.
She said, here's her sounds. She said elephants and lions. I'm like, whoa.
What?
I didn't expect that. I was thinking waterfall. Elephants and lions, because she lived near where the circus was.
Exactly.
During the winter months in Florida. That is pretty cool.
The sounds that take you back.
Rob and Liz.
His morning crew.
Hey, Vicki, you're on.
Hi, I'm a very active listener like this before what I'm going through now. It's just so good to have your radio station every day on the way to the hospital to see my husband.
Oh, Vicky, this is Rob. How can we pray for you?
I'm taking care of my husband. He's been at the hospital for like 40 days now.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, and especially me right now, you know?
Well, lots of love to you, Vicky. How can we pray for your husband?
He came down with something. It took them a month to figure out that he had West Nile virus, but it hurt. He got encephalopathy with it, so he's not functioning very well at all.
Has there been improvement since he's been in the hospital? Like, where is he now?
He's still at the hospital. He's getting therapy. I'm hoping that he can get to a rehab place soon, but I don't know. Anyway, I appreciate you guys so much for being there for everybody.
Oh, Vicky, we love you so much. And know that God's with you every step of the way. As a matter of fact, we want to dedicate this song to you and your husband, Vicky. This is Sanctus Real. And my God is still the same. Hope it brings you some healing today.
Rob and Liz.
His morning crew.
Mac and cheese in a can. Not macaroni and cheese, it's macaroni cheese.
Yeah.
Macaroni, did I say that right?
Macaroni cheese.
Macaroni cheese.
Yes.
It's macaroni cheese in a can. It's not macaroni and cheese. It's macaroni cheese. Difference? None.
Well, that doesn't have the noodles, right?
It doesn't?
I don't know.
Is it just the cheese?
Then
why would it say macaroni?
Made with a creamy cheese sauce.
And why would there be macaroni on the picture on the can?
Maybe so. You can add it to your own noodles. I don't know, but it's just nasty sounding.
It kind of does. You know, it makes me think about food you just can't stomach. I don't like liverwurst. Ugh. I don't like salami. I cannot stomach or stomach salami.
Salami?
No, I can't.
Why?
Bad memory.
Well,
because I got sick off of it when I was a kid, I cannot touch it anymore.
I knew you were going there. That's my husband, Joey. Meatloaf, same thing. Because he got sick. He ate at a meat and three or whatever and got sick by the time he got into the parking lot. He's done. Mm-hmm. We don't make meatloaf at our house.
The parking lot met Joey's meatloaf.
Exactly.
I get it.
It was not a good day for the parking lot.
That was me and the salami.
I love boiled peanuts. I love those things. From the side of the road, that kind of thing, in a big styrofoam cup. You put them in a can. What are you doing with your life? I don't understand boiled peanuts.
There's a difference?
In a can. Okay, this is going to sound gross, especially to anybody that does not like boiled peanuts, because when you get them from the roadside stand, they're warm. They're nice. When you get them out of the can, it's just like...
Warm them up. There's this thing called...
I know.
Listen.
It's not the same.
This is going to be life-changing for you.
Okay.
There's this technology called a microwave oven.
Rob and Liz.
His morning crew.
They fell in love when they were in high school. It's Rob and Liz, his morning crew on his radio.
Yeah, so it was Isabella and Sergio, and they met at a friend's quinceañera, which is her 15th birthday. And so they met in San Francisco, had this love affair, just, as high school students, just that puppy love sort of, but it strengthened from there. And along the way, Sergio started having some health issues, went to the doctor and found out that he had a form of pre-leukemia. And Isabella stayed right by his side.
Then it progressed a couple of years later to be terminal.
Yeah.
It was sad, really sad. Sergio high spirits. Isabella never, ever has left his side. And just recently with this news about the terminal cancer, they got married.
Yeah.
They tied the knot.
Right. He's undergoing things like chemotherapy and bone marrow transplants, and they decided, I'm sure there were lots of tears and lots of talks about, we want to make the most of the life that we have been given. If Sergio passes away at the end of the year, if he's got 100 years left, we want to do everything we can. So there's a nonprofit that also got involved to help them do some of these things.
So they're going on dates all the time. They're going to places that they never would have been able to because of the medical expenses. They're only 20.
Yeah, 20 years old.
And I really pray they have a really long life together because God is a miracle-making God, right?
Right.
So we'll see exactly what he does with Sergio. I'm praying for his healing.
Absolutely.
through this all. They say terminal cancer. We know we serve a pretty big God. So pray with us for them if you would.